Now let's talk about the space cushion in front of your vehicle. This is one of the most important spaces you must maintain in order to drive safely, and it's one of the easiest areas to maintain. This is done by maintaining the appropriate following distance. Following distance is defined as the minimum distance you safely keep between your vehicle and the vehicle ahead of you. Maintaining that correct following distance is critical in avoiding potential hazards, such as a rear-end collision with the vehicles ahead of you, or causing customer injuries from hard braking. In this lesson, we'll cover the importance of following distance and how to adjust in adverse weather conditions. In order to know if you're maintaining the appropriate following distance or not, you will need to understand how to calculate it. Here's a method to calculate your following distance while driving.
Look for a fixed reference point. Wait until the vehicle ahead passes that fixed reference point. Count off in seconds until you reach the same landmark. Once you reach that fixed reference point, that's your following distance in seconds.
But how do you determine whether that following distance is safe and provides a comfortable margin of safety to avoid hazards in front of your vehicle? Let's discuss the variables that determine the safe following distance.
You need time and space to see and understand what's going on ahead of you, recognize a hazard, then decide on the best course of action. You also need the time and space to complete your action to avoid the hazard. Is that action braking, accelerating, changing lanes, or turning? If possible, you'll want to do this gradually for the safety and well-being of your customers and yourself. We always want to ensure we are driving silky smooth.
Therefore, your correct following distance is the total amount of time it takes for you to recognize a hazard, respond to the hazard, and complete the actions to avoid it. As you'll see, after we determine how much total time it takes you to respond and take action, the speed of your vehicle will also be a factor in calculating correct following distance.
Let's start with what happens when you first perceive a hazard, also known as perception distance. This is the total distance your vehicle travels from the time you first see something ahead of you until your brain recognizes and processes that it's a hazard. For an alert driver, that perception time is approximately 3/4 of a second.
Now that you've identified the hazard, you must take action. This is the second component of the equation, referred to as reaction distance. That's the distance your vehicle travels in the time it takes you to move your foot from the accelerator to the brake pedal, once you've identified a hazard. The average reaction time for most drivers is also approximately 3/4 of a second. As you can see, by adding reaction time to perception time, you're already at 1.5 seconds, and you still haven't factored in braking distance. To give you a little perspective, if your vehicle is traveling at 55 miles per hour, you will travel almost 2 vehicle lengths just for your reaction time.
Now it's time to factor in braking distance. That's the distance your vehicle will travel from the time you apply the brakes until it comes to a stop. When you add braking distance to perception and reaction distance, you get your total stopping distance. That's the time and distance it takes you to stop. From when you first recognize a potential hazard, identify it, respond to the hazard, and take action until the vehicle finally comes to a stop.
Your stopping distance will vary according to the speed the vehicle is traveling. Under ideal conditions, your minimum following distance for the appropriate margin of safety is 4 seconds. At speeds under 40 miles per hour, the National Safety Council recommends counting to establish your safe following distance. As your speed increases, your following distance must increase as well. All of these conditions form a slippery layer between the vehicle's tires and the road surface. Wet pavement, icy pavement, snowy pavement, roads covered with gravel, sand, or wet leaves, bleeding tar on the road, and liquid spills. Hazardous road conditions can significantly increase stopping distance. Use the following guidelines when you encounter these conditions. Using the counting method, this chart shows the increased following distance standards you need to follow to compensate for rainy, snowy, and icy weather conditions. So the key here in adverse weather conditions is reduced speed and increased following distance. The heavier the vehicle, the more work the brakes do to stop it. To maintain your proper following distance in heavy traffic, follow these procedures. Safely create as much following distance as possible. Reduce speed and drive more cautiously. Managing a proper following distance is important at all times to help you achieve that 360-degree space cushion.
The critical role of vehicle inspections is maintaining safety for both your passengers and you as an operator through pre- and post-trip inspections.
Why is there such a strong focus on vehicle inspection? Because both pre- and post-trip vehicle inspections are legally required and are absolutely essential. When customers board your vehicle, they're entrusting you to transport them safely to their destination. Operating a vehicle that is unsafe puts you, your customers, and the community at risk. Your mission as an operator is to never put a vehicle with a safety-related defect into service. Completing the pre-trip inspection makes sure vehicles are not operated if there are any safety-related issues.
These inspections increase overall safety by revealing defects, dangers, or problems before they lead to major consequences. Prevent crashes and fires by identifying major defects early so they can be fixed. Limit vehicle downtime by finding and fixing small problems rather than having to react to a major problem. Prevent breakdowns on the road and costly towing and repairs. Prevent interruption of service for our passengers and enhance the customer experience. And comply with required federal and state regulations.
The bottom line is this: inspections help stop accidents before they start. Before driving the vehicle, you as the operator must be satisfied that it's in safe operating condition by performing the pre-trip inspection and filling out the DVIR while you complete the inspection. The responsibility of performing the inspection cannot be delegated to another individual. Inspections must be performed and signed by the employee who will be driving the vehicle.
Regulations state you should, at the minimum, check the following items during your pre-trip inspection: service brakes, parking brake, steering mechanism, lighting devices and reflectors, tires, horn, windshield wipers, rear vision mirrors, wheels and rims, emergency equipment, overall appearance of the vehicle, engine compartment, operator compartment, complete walk-around inspection, customer area, brake system, wheelchair lift and ramp.
The pre-trip inspection is very detailed, and it must be completed thoroughly within the allotted time. In addition to the actual inspection, your DVIR is very important documentation that's required to be in company guidelines and DOT regulations. Proper documentation must be maintained for each driver on each vehicle being operated. This process must be followed, and you must sign off prior to operating the vehicle, even if you're the second or third shift operator for the day with that vehicle.
I'm Rachel Walla with Ally Safe, and in today's video, we're going to explore 4 factors that contribute to musculoskeletal injuries so you can stay healthy, happy, and active for years to come. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The good news is, musculoskeletal injuries are highly preventable. Here are 4 factors to consider in prevention. Factor number 1, posture. When it comes to posture, I've got a few simple tips for you. Number 1, create a strong base. Think of yourself more like a pyramid than a tower. Place your feet and legs in a position of strength to give yourself a great base for lifting and working. Number 2, don't bend, hinge. Hinge at your joints, lift with your knees, and avoid bending with your back. Number 3, turn, don't twist. Instead of twisting from your hips like this, what you want to do is turn the entire trunk, like this. When we twist, we aren't operating from a strong base and are more prone to injury. Instead of twisting, keep it in line with the spine. Factor number 2, force. When you're doing work that requires force, you're placing higher loads on your joints and connective tissues. Rather than exerting more force, find an easier way to do the job. Lift within your comfort zone. Keep the tools you need within your arm's reach. Use carts, dollies, and 2-person lifts whenever necessary. Remember, work smarter, not harder. Factor number 3, frequency. In this case, frequency means doing tasks that require the same motion or position on repeat. This repetition and duration causes more wear and tear on the body. Although some machines are set up to make the exact same motion hour after hour, day after day, our bodies aren't machines, and if you're doing the same repetitive tasks or holding the same position for an extended amount of time, you need to give yourself rests and stretches. Factor 4, early intervention. One of the trickiest things about musculoskeletal injuries is that they tend to gradually get worse over a long period of time. The discomfort and pain eventually become normal to us until one day we have an injury that we can no longer ignore. To reduce your chances of injury, you need to recognize the warning signs your body gives you, like muscle fatigue and discomfort, tingling in the hands and fingers, swelling or inflammation of the joints, muscle stiffness or weakness, range of motion loss, or discomfort when making certain movements. When these early signs show up, pay attention to them and implement preventative measures to care for your body. Preventative measures can include periodic breaks, stretching, yoga, physical therapy, and strengthening exercises. Trust me, this extra work can really improve the quality of your life. So take care and keep the focus on prevention. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, I'll see you guys later.
Be mindful of your posture and be sure you adjust your seat first before you adjust your mirrors. This is part of properly preparing to do your work. Let's review these ergonomic tips to follow before you start driving.
Seat adjustment. Adjust the depth and height of the seat so your feet can comfortably reach the pedals to ensure you can press the pedals all the way through. Adjust the seat distance so you can depress each pedal without raising or rotating out of the seat. The seat should be adjusted so your arms are slightly bent to grasp the steering wheel at the 9 and 3 position. Your elbows should also be close to your side. Make sure your back is straight against the seat. Your thighs should be completely supported by the seat. The back of your knees should be about 1 to 2 inches from the seat cushion.
Adjust the seat back so you're sitting almost completely vertical and as upright as possible. At most, you should be tilted back no more than 10 degrees. Lumbar support is designed to prevent stress on your back and spine. The lumbar support should fit comfortably into the curve of your lower back. Make sure your back is not rounded. Instead, maintain the natural curve of your spine, even in the driver's seat. Ensure your back is leaning on the backrest, from your buttocks up to your shoulder blades.
Adjustments to increase your comfort. Adjust the seat pan tilt to assure the seat pan is flat. The neck support should reach the base of your skull, the large bump at the back of your head, without you having to move your head backwards. If needed, adjust the built-in cushioning at your middle and lower back so that the seat is molded to fit the individual curves of your spine.
If the built-in adjustments are not sufficient, you may consider adding your own cushions or cushioning material. Here are some additional ergonomic tips to follow while you're driving.
Be sure to keep your spine in the neutral position so you don't slouch or slump throughout your shift. Be sure you can easily reach the controls in front of you. Be sure your seating position allows you to rock and roll. This is a scanning technique of leaning your whole trunk forward by tilting at the hip joint to improve your visibility. Don't move your chin or head forward to see better or let your shoulders or shoulder blades round forward. Instead, lean forward from your hips to maintain the neutral curve of your spine. When you rock and roll in your seat, be sure to lean your whole trunk forward, tilting from the hip joint. You don't want to lean forward from your neck. Don't slump over the steering wheel. Be aware of the posture of your back at any given time and keep it vertical.
One final tip: never sit on your wallet. Your lower back, hips, and pelvis will be uneven and will ultimately cause back pain while driving.